we're looking here at, yes, some of the standout cards already made an appearance. Cabal Therapy, like to be Black White Knights versus a mono-green beatdown deck. We see double Steel Leaf Champion being powered up by these land royals, and Kalni Hydra makes a splash. Now we're looking at Beef, 8/8 Trample, with this almost foreboding of not quite devotion, but reverse devotion that takes off mana symbols for each green creature you control. And Louis Bach takes the first game.
Very fast start from the mono green deck there for sure.
Yeah, we're looking at like both Lanwells and Druid of the Cowl, and an aspect of a Hydra I see. It must have been discarded by Duress or Cabal Therapy before we jumped in. Let me just pull up some deck lists here from Fab and Louis. Let's look at what Fabian is working with here. He lost game 1, so he'll be looking for tools that can beat this Green Menace, 8/8 Trample. What we're looking at, he has 3 Ousts in his main deck, and next run in the sideboard that is for sure to come in, I think. The Eldest Reborn will something he might be looking at, but it's a bit awkward with all the land royals running around, so I suspect not. Lyra Dawnbringer, he will probably be interested in those as well, in order to fly over some of these things, and they can just completely brick wall most of the creatures in Louis's deck, if not for the aspect of Hydra.
Fabian's deck also features, I think, the full 4 copies of Go for the Throat, so obviously didn't come to help him out in this match, in this first game of the match, but look for those to make an impact in game 2 and 3.
Yeah.
What are we looking at from Louis' side?
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of mana elves, Jarga Tree Speaker, Lanois Elves, Druid of the Cowl, and then rounded out by 3 Colony Hydras, 3 Vivian Reeds, and 3 Champion Payoffs. Then there's 2 Vengevines with another 2 in the sideboard. They might actually come in because, like, against Black-White, they might grind pretty well. There's also a Thrun the Last Flow, a Karn, Sign of Ursa as one of the planeswalkers we have around here today. There's always Sylvan Safekeeper, which is interesting. I think that might actually make an appearance here.
Yeah, I could definitely see it against Fabian's up to, I think, 9 spot removal effects.
Yeah, something to that regard.
Starting things off here with a Cabal Therapy.
That was exciting. Well, now we're really playing the mind games. What will Fabian... What's he afraid of? He names Steel Leaf Champion. And he hits. And we see 2 Vengevines from Louis in the starting hand.
Cabal Therapy, one of these cards that gets much more powerful with open deck lists. Played very well during testing, even before we knew what our opponent's lists are, and I think it's only going to be stronger today now that we know what to expect.
And it is legal for players to refer to their opponent's deck list in the middle of a match, partly because it's not something we plan on policing. Fabian is really just denying Louise everything here. So now this Jarga Tree Speak will not even level up. It's just a lonely 1/1 vanilla right now. And yeah, might as well go to town. Block? No, we ain't going to town here. Jarga will stay home. Probably blocks better. And now History of Benalia.
One of the hallmarks of this format, something that kind of sets the pace and limits what you can do on the low end of this format. Of course, there's some boundaries on the high end that we may see later in the form of the Eldrazi's and Mirari's Wake and the Nexus of Fate strategies that we saw emerging over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll get to see some of that later on today, but it looks like these players both opting to take the early game strategies and attack before that Nexus of Fate comes down.
Yeah. Fabian opting for a bit of a middle ground here where you have the pot disruption from Cabal Therapy and Inquisition of Kozilek. Now we get rid of the Kalni Hydras. All the Kalni Hydra from Louis.
Vengevine, not the most popular card to name with Cabal Therapy.
apparently not. But it is something that Fabian can consider here. Like Louise have 2 Vengevine in hand, and then a land. You know for sure these Vengevines are coming, but can you push them further away by discarding them instead of letting Louise cast them? It's actually a really interesting spot. I mean, it's not quite intuitive, but it's something to consider.
Yeah, it does force him to have two cards instead of just one. We'll see what Fabian opts to do, of course, and maybe not wanting to sacrifice some of his own aggression in order to cast the Cabal Therapy from the graveyard.
Yeah, exactly. And is Luis then forced to sandbank a creature until he gets 2, maybe to activate more Fabian's discard later? Yeah, he actually opts for the play. We will see Cabal Therapy naming Vengevine here.
And the Jiraga Tree Speaker is now back online.
That they are. I don't know if that was Fabian's intention, but I think he considered that Luis, with 4 lands, have enough mana, and either he's going to draw a creature now, or he's going to level up these 3 speakers.
Well, interestingly, even if he draws the first creature, he may want to just hold on to it for another for another creature to arrive. So
exactly, and that means the. Oh wait, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Nope,
we're just going full level ups.
We are going for level 2 on both of them.
I suppose that makes sense if you're not trying to block the night tokens. Might as well do something.
Exactly.
The deck does have plenty of elves, and so level 5 is somewhat relevant.
Yeah, and also consider that level 5 will stonewall these night tokens forever.
Short of a Chapter 3 history, that's right.
Yeah, short of a Chapter 3 trigger here, but 1/4 if Luis feels like he needs to prolong the game a bit, then it's not unreasonable to try and go for it. So, Fabian,
see what the follow-up here is to the history.
There'll definitely be some sort of follow-up. Let's see what Fabian has to work with here. It could be here with Bladehold. There's also, maybe Fabian boarded in Remorseful Cleric, just to combat these Vengevines coming back forever. Oh, we're going for the blind Cabal Therapy. Interesting.
Possible that Fabian's hand is full of some of those reactive cards we mentioned earlier. Let's see what the name is.
We see Vengevine was actually boarded in, because we see the 3rd one now, and this could actually be a world of hurt for Fabian.
Looks like Vengevine is coming down. That might mean that there's a second creature now, and we'll get a full set of Vengevines out. Yep.
And it's even Elvish Clan Caller. This is a world of hurt for Fabian. Hello. Good to see you. Take 12.
Vengevine is one of these cards that's appeared in a couple of different Set Roulette events and often is one of the most powerful cards in its given format. This event, there are a lot of powerful ways to get Vengevine into the graveyard, although the green deck seems to be just using it here as a resilient threat. But we do have things like Stitcher Supplier and the 1/1 green card.
Sylvan Wayfinder.
Sylvan Wayfinder that'll help fill the graveyard with Vengevines and bring them back.
Yeah, this sorta almost have to be Lyra Dawnbringer, or we see Fabian here. GG's.
And just like that, the first match of. Well, is he
2024? Nah, it's just
goofing off.
You're already dead. Talk about therapy. We see Fabian just having a bit of fun here.
So it looks like Louis Bach on the mono green elf deck will take down Fabian Thiel on white black knights to conclude.
White black mid-range knights, how you want to call it. I want to kudos to Louis with finding out that Vengevine is actually just we don't have to be all in Vengevine. It's just a good beat stake. It's just really attacking these resilient creatures, or being these resilient creatures to keeping on the attacking pressure and fighting these spot removal decks.
Let's switch over now to another game with a couple of heavy hitters in the Set Roulette event. We have Remy Fortier versus Brian Paris.
Oh, that sounds like something is going on there. Remy Fortier, let me just pull up. And let me see if I can find their match.
And let me turn my Magic Online sounds off.
Yes. There's the match. Alright. So we're looking at Mono Green from Remy Fortier. Very similar to what we just saw. Is it identical? Remy might have tested with Louise. I would not be surprised by that, because their deck lists are identical. Yes, their deck lists are identical.
Okay, so it
So
seems like they may have been a testing pair.
yeah, I mean, and that's what I really like about Set Roulette. Sometimes we see these teams form almost like you see on the Pro Tour, where like players that have some sort of connection, they go together and decide to pool their knowledge, and we have in the past and also today seen team decks pop up.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think
it,
that's one of the things that's so great about Set Roulette is, you know, having the opportunity to goof off a little bit with your friends and build your meme decks, but still have a long-term goal that you're working towards, that is this event. So um,
yeah, you and I had you were on our European testing team back when it was run by Mythic Society.
yeah, the lone American, because unlike most Magic players, I like to get up at 5 in the morning, which means I work a lot better with the European Magic players than I do with the American Magic players. So
Yeah. So yeah, we had some teams there. Uh, Brian Paris is on some banned ramp deck. We're looking at Wall of Omens and its best friend Orgrimmar Battlement. So there, and then we see Chaos Follower from Brian Paris to untap some of all these mana generators. We will see both Arcadis the Strategist. And if you're like, Arcadis, what is an Arcadis? Well, Arcadis is the butt fight Elder Dragon. Uh,
so giving
makes
those
all your
walls
creatures.
the ability to attack
Yes,
with their toughness instead of their power.
exactly. And then whenever you cast a creature with, or play a creature with Defender, whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card as well. So we will surely see Brian rip through their deck, because not only is there Arcadis, there's also Consecrated Sphinx.
That is,
And
if Brian Paris gets the chance to run his strategy out there. We did see a really explosive start from this green deck in the previous match, so we'll see if that um, happens again here on this side.
yeah, there's definitely an option for me here to really get some beats in. We can even see multiple aspect of the Hydra pumping up the Steel Leaf Champion, taking huge chunks out of Brian's life total. Brian will have some ways to regain all that life. Brian is running the full set of 4 Gifts of Paradise, uh, where he enchant a land, he gains 3 life, and now this land can add 2 mana of any color. There's also Touch Healer. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you'll gain a life and draw a card. And there's Pelagavurm, Giant Worm, Trample, 7/7, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 7 life. When it dies, you draw a card. So there's some options for Brian to try and turn the corner and stabilize a bit.
Seven
Brian is
seven, pretty
also,
large, but notably, there are some even larger creatures possible out of this green deck, right?
yeah, there's the Colony Hydra, 8/8 is sure to wrestle with that Pelagavurm every day of the week.
An aspect of Hydra lets even your Llanowar elves tussle with a worm. Although we
Yeah,
do see this Consecrated Sphinx come down now, and that may give Brian the ability to go wide enough that he just doesn't have to care about the size of those creatures. He does
yeah,
seem he
it
is in fairly good position at this point in the game.
It does outclass Steel Leaf Champion, but if Remy just shrugs and turns it sideways, will Brian block? You know there's four aspect of the Hydra in the other person's deck.
Well, I think it's
Would
got
you
to
block?
depend on what's in his hand. You know, he may be willing to take that risk, or he may be forced to. But without knowing exactly what he's playing with, I think it's hard to figure that out. So we'll see what he decides to do, and if the Steel Leaf even attacks.
Yeah, I doubt it will attack because I don't think it is how Remir wants to spend his aspect of the Hydra. But also, he can't let this Consecrated Strings hang around forever because it will just outdraw him. Um, Going further down Brian's deck list, he's also working with the full set of Greens on Senate and the full set of Linguish. And with Brian's deck list is beautiful. Sideboard is just 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 all the way down. So he is
Living
sure to
Wish.
be able to. There's not a sideboard plan here. There is just a Living Wish board.
You know, I think
Brian had
Brian joined the testing process a bit later in the game, just realizing that Set Roulette was back fairly late in, and if you're joining late and you don't have time to anticipate the metagame fully and build a sideboard, then a Living Wish board is a pretty strong way to handle the format.
yeah, just make sure you have available what you need to have available, right? Just don't care. So I did talk about Eldrazi's, and we do see our first Eldrazi's here. We see both Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, the big Mama Eldrazi, the poster Eldrazi, and then we also see Kozilek as a Living Wish target for Brian here. Kozilek is the 10 mana one where when you cast it, you draw 4 cards, and then has an island of 4. And then the last Eldrazi is Ulamog that destroys a permanent when you cast it, but instead of Ulamog, you just have the cheaper version if you need your Vindicate on a stick. Oh, interesting. Okay, this is a tough spot for Brian. Consecrating Strings is for sure blocking something. Question is what? Okay. If will he just die to Aspect of the Hydra here? There's 3, 4, 7, 8. Yeah, he's just dead to Aspect of the Hydra here.
Let's see if Remy has it and employs it here.
Yeah, let's see. I think
What kind
Brian is
of
considering it.
spot removal are we looking at out of the Bant deck here? If we assume that Brian survives the turn.
Spot removal, yeah, that's a hard no. We're looking at some wish targets that can find, say, Meteor Golem as the Vindicate on a stick, or there was a
An
oh,
aspect of
did
the
you just
Hydra does pop out,
yeah,
finishing the game, and we see the mono green deck take down its second match in a row here.
that was very powerful. I was just off watching something else, and then off looking at the decks, and then suddenly I heard the motor sound. Where we heading now?
Let's
Do we
take a look.
have we have
We have July Zerg versus Synesthesiacs.
yes, let's go there.
And Anders is going to pull up a little bit of information on what we're going to be looking
Yes,
at here. But
I
already
am.
we see a Kozilek Butcher of Truth
Yeah,
trigger on the stack. Sarkin the
but also
Fireblood in play.
this looks interesting. I'm still trying to find.
Synesthesiacs is on some of those graveyard strategies that we hinted at earlier. I can see here that we've got Shriekhorns, Stitch Togethers, looking to bring back Eldrazi out of the graveyard
Yeah,
with anger
we've
in play in the yard as well, so that they gain haste and can immediately start triggering some of those Annihilator triggers. Sarkin ostensibly here just to get that graveyard loaded up. And then, I guess interestingly, the Kozilek coming from the other Eldrazi deck on the other side of the table here with Eldrazi Temple in play, so trying to cast those Eldrazi fair and square.
Yeah, you can't reanimate Eldrazi's due to the trigger. So since DCX Andrew here has opted for, well, there's the It That Betrays as an Eldrazi thing you can reanimate.
And we have Pathraiser of Ulamog here as well.
Yeah, but the big Eldrazi Titans can't because they just shove themselves in, and that's what just happened to July Cirques. To Jamie's, I love Jamie's name. Their deck list Fettuccine Monogrini, which I just think is beautiful. We see Burning Witch here. Oh, I'm just looking at deck lists. What are we finding? There's a Rise from the Grave.
Very exciting to see this
And a
red-black
Stitch together
deck
as well.
doing some powerful things with Anger. Anger, a card that is tough to it was tough to try and find a place for it in this format due to some of the other red cards available, but Synesthesiac seems to have found a powerful way to employ the card.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to. Oh, it. We got to
Did
the
we miss
post.
our attack step, or was it?
Something must have happened. We got into like straight post combat, so something
Uh-oh.
happened in combat. I assume this died in combat or something like that.
Nevertheless, there is still an It That Betrays in play. Although an Icy Manipulator on July Zerg's side of the board.
Yeah, I'm loving that card. It's one of those cards that feels like it's almost always constructed power level, or rather, always almost constructed power
Right.
level. It's just almost good enough all the time. But this time, Jamie figured, or July, sorry, figured that it is good enough, and it taps like it's a good way to handle lethal draws with their Annihilator trigger.
Scape Shift.
Oh, I
Now
am
that's an
loving
exciting
it.
one. Let's see what happens. Are we going to see the remaining 3 Eldrazi Temple come out here?
I assume. Oh no.
But It That Betrays steals all sacrifice permanents, so Synesthesiacs may have the opportunity to hardcast some of their own Eldrazi.
Big boys. Yeah. Luckily for July Strike here, they don't have any cards in hand right now, so they're
And they
still
will
working with.
have 11 mana on July Zerg's side of the board here. Well,
Yes.
next turn, I guess they'll have even more than that. This turn,
Yeah.
they'll
But
just
July
have to
is
tap
also,
down that Eldrazi and keep it
and then
moving.
hope.
Interestingly, this Sark and the Fireblood putting some pressure on with just threatening to ultimate.
Yeah. 4/5/5 Red Dragon, sure to ruin July Strike's day. No
Although
question
the
about that.
Inkmoth Nexus may be the remedy here for that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, just quietly scratching it. No, we're going face. I mean, sure, you can go face this turn. You have 3 ink mods, so maybe? Does that work?
Yeah, I mean
I
the
guess it
Sarkin
worked.
is not going to ultimate this turn, so there's no need to worry too much about it just yet. You have the It That Betrays under control.
Yeah,
But of course, every turn that Synesthesiacs has a chance to draw another reanimation spell through either
yeah,
Burning
you're
Wish
not
or Stitch
beating.
together.
Yeah, you're not beating that anyways. I think I'm actually liking the plan here because you need to fight for the win now. If you're playing not to lose, it just delays the inevitable. July Cirque needs to try and like still play some outs, but also try and actually close out this game because more beef will come out of what is technically now a Junt deck, I guess, from Synesthesiacs.
Conman from the chat pointing out that if that Sarkin does ultimate, those 5/5s will have haste on account of anger being in the graveyard.
That is true. Anger is still in the graveyard. But I think what will happen next turn is that we'll see two in Synesthesia CX and one on Sakram on these nexus. Maybe even see it this turn. See some split the pain here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do
yeah,
we have any spot removal that we need to worry about out of Synesthesiac's deck here?
let me quickly check. No, nope. There's nothing. There's some flame slashes, but Inkmut doesn't care
But
about them, and I doubt they
nothing that's going to
boarded them.
stop that Ink Moth from keeping the Sarkin down.
No, nothing. We are only July Circus right now just fighting the top of Synesthesia's deck.
But as we all have learned the hard way in this format that has 12 powerful tier 1 discard spells, the top of the deck is a pretty powerful part of the game of Magic. I have
It
lost to
is.
the top of the deck quite a few times in the last 2 weeks.
That's yeah, that happens. That happens when you run a lot of the black discard spells. Synesthesia is also quite far through their deck. Um, but there isn't many reanimation targets, so I'm wondering.
Well, they're
Like,
getting
I
to the
think
point where they can almost cast some of these Eldrazi.
also that I just did a quick count there on nine, no, yeah, 10 lands now, and so if there's a Pathways of Ulamog coming, it's just not far off.
There are 3 of the Eldrazi accounted for so far out of the deck. So
Yes, and then there's two Demon Lord Belsenlog and one Daragas, and I think they're all in the no, they were in the graveyard, but they're not there anymore.
that being said, we may be getting to the point of the game where connecting with an Eldrazi isn't enough.
Yeah, like these Igmats is actually sure to ruin the since CCX to stay. Still doing the 2-1 split. I'm guessing July Circus is going to be a bit like it doesn't change the clock for when Inkmot will finish off since CCX, so playing it safe just in
Mm-hmm.
case something happens.
Even with open deck lists, it it's a lot for any player to keep in their mind. You know, what's the state of the board? What could my opponent potentially have? Um, so trying to balance, have I missed something with,
Yeah,
what's the most aggressive line? And to your point, it doesn't change the clock, so it
yeah.
makes sense to play a little conservatively.
Yeah, say a flying blocker comes down, and now I imagine what I would do is turn all three at CCX. Because then if a flying blocker comes down, then yeah, it can block one inkpot, but there still be a be 10 poison counters next turn.
Very exciting work from Icy Manipulator going on this game. None of this is
Yeah,
possible without the help of the old standby from 1994 or
I mean,
1995, whatever it was.
it's just your vegetables, right? It's not pretty, it's not efficient, it's not beautiful, but it's just always somehow around. I feel like Ice Manipulator just shows up when it's available in our set roulettes at least. It's just then it's a sideboard card versus a specific strategy or some slow strategy you want to use it as a speed bump or yeah, and we see exactly as predicted. Three Inkmod goes to Synesthesiacs, putting them at 8 poison counters. So even somehow destroying an Inkmod or being able to block one will not cut it out.
That is something that's very cool about these set roulette events is look at the cards that we're seeing in play right now. That when else are you going to get a chance to play with Sark Fireblood or It That Betrays?
Yeah, it's like these old cards that we wish we wanted to play with them and constructed back when they were legal, because oh, look at how cool it is. The portrays I steal everything, and like the name just fits it so well. Um, Let me just quickly check here. Sorry. It's just so great. And it's just so like little kid me really wants to play with it. That says I'm gonna steal all things, and it's like, yeah, but you have this amount of mana. Why not just play, you know, something else that's more efficient? But here we see a reanimator strategy where it's actually relevant that it's not the most efficient thing around, because the most efficient things around is not possible to reanimate. So that, yeah, that's beautiful.
And that was a
That
very
was
quick
actually our
round one, it looks like.